Ms. Murdoch, a roll call, please.
Mr. Rossi?
Here.
Mr. Cordray?
Here.
Mr. Sousa?
Here.
Stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to approve the clerk's journal and accept the audio-video recordings as the official minutes of the July 16th Board of Trustees regular meeting.
Second.
Mr. Sousa?
Yes.
Mr. Cordray?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the bills as presented for the board.
Second.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Mr. Sousa?
Yes.
Mr. Cordray?
Yes.
Okay, this brings us to our first public comment section, so I'd like to open the floor to public comments at this time.
And I might preface it too, that there's 3 zoning-related hearings on the agenda tonight. So if you want to speak for that, that's going to be at a separate part right after this. So if you want to give public comment not pertaining to any of those 3 public hearings tonight, now would be the time to do it. If you want to give it for one or all 3 of those public hearings, you'll get your chance in a moment.
Okay. Anyone? All right, I'll close the floor to public comments. That brings us to our first of 3 public hearings this evening.
All right, so you want me to give the intro and procedure, how we go over all this? All right, so again, there's 3 separate hearings on the agenda tonight. One's for some text amendments dealing with institutional housing. The second one's for Arbor East. And then the third one is for Northview Farms. So what we'll do is, when I get done giving my intro, we're gonna go ahead and swear everyone in for all 3 hearings at the same time. I'll just have you stand up, raise your right hand, and then you can be seated. Then when each case is called, the format will be the same, which is first staff will give a presentation on it. After the staff gives the presentation, the applicant will have the opportunity to present their case. Anyone that wants to speak in favor of it can then speak in favor. Anyone that's opposed to it can speak in opposition to it. Applicant will get one last opportunity to get up and say whatever else they'd like to say. Then they'll close the public comment portion of the hearing. You can still stick around, they'll deliberate in public and presumably come to a decision on that. So with that said, anyone that thinks that might want to give testimony in any of the 3 cases tonight, if you'll go ahead and stand up and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give will be true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief? Thanks, you may be seated. And when it does come time for you to speak, we ask you to do so from the podium and then just state your name, your personal or professional address, and then just confirm the fact that you've been sworn in. With that, Mr. Rossi?
Very good. I will turn the floor over to Ms. Waldron with our first text amendment.
All right, so the proposed text amendment tonight is to section 7.4.2, table 7-1, as well as section 4.6, table 4-2, with regards to institutional housing. The applicant is Ann McBride, and she is here with us tonight. So the legal notice was published on the township website on July 24th, and legal notices were sent to all required property owners. So Chapter 4, Table 4.2 is the permitted use table. What we are proposing is to allow institutional housing in the B2 zoning district. And then we are changing the parking requirement in Chapter 7. We'll go over that. So currently, the zoning resolution permits institutional housing in all of our residential zones, but not in our business district. Because of the changes in institutional housing and and the progress with more short-term, we believe that those services need to be a little bit more near, the major roadways, and so we are permitting or requesting that they be permitted in the B2 district. Along with that, the amendment is to change the parking from 1 space per 3 bedrooms to 1 space per bed. The state does permit these types of uses by bed. And again, with some of the short-term uses, this will better align with the needs of the institutional housing. So the Warren County Regional Planning Commission did hear this application on June 26th and recommended approval with no further conditions. The Hamilton Township Zoning Commission heard it at their July 14th meeting, again recommending approval with no additional conditions. And staff does recommend approval of the application as submitted. That's what I have for you.
Any questions, gentlemen?
I do not.
I just had one, just curious from a thought process, and it really doesn't affect probably tonight, is what would be the thought process about removing those type of facilities, whatnot, from out of residential, just make it strictly within the business districts? Does that make more sense looking at that going forward?
Well, when the zoning commission heard this application, they also had some recommendations about separating some of like the sober living out of it. So at the next zoning commission meeting, those things are going to be discussed.
Okay, yep, that's.
Yep. So should they decide to make a change, obviously that would come to you all.
And there's also some legal protections that are built in for residential housing pertaining to some of the different uses involving institutional housing. So if that's something that the board wants to consider at a later meeting, I can provide additional advice on that.
Very good. Thanks,
Go ahead.
Okay, would the applicant like to approach the podium?
Just leave that like it is. I'll try to be tall. My name's Ann McBride. I'm the applicant on this request. My address at the office is 5721 Dragon Way, Suite 300, Cincinnati 45227. And Kathy, of course, stole part of my presentation again, so we'll have to chat about that afterwards. So we are asking for 2 text amendments to your zoning resolution relative to institutional housing. Right now, institutional housing, as your definition, includes uses such as elderly housing, nursing homes, and other facilities of that nature. Right now, I think when this was written, and I know because our code wrote your original zoning resolution, there was much more long-term residents in nursing homes than there are today. So currently, as Kathy indicated, the institutional housing is only allowed in the R1, the R2, the R3, the R4 districts with standards. Those 2 standards are that the property has to have direct access to an arterial or a collector street, and 2, that it needs to be on 5 acres. But the whole concept of institutional housing, as you're defining it in terms of nursing homes, has changed. What they're seeing now is that they're seeing more short-term patients. So there still are some of those patients that are there long-term. Think your grandmother when she was around, or my grandmother when she was around. But now a significant portion of these nursing homes are providing short-term care. So these are the people that had a heart attack and are having to do heart rehab stuff. There are people that have had knee replacements or hip replacements or whatever. Maybe they live by themselves. They couldn't care for themselves if they were to go home by themselves, and they still would need to get to physical therapy and so forth. So they're seeing a significant portion of those folks that are coming in and using, quote, nursing homes as a middle ground, so to speak. And those folks don't want the same rooms that my grandmother had, where she had a neighbor right in the room and they shared a bathroom and so forth and so on. Now folks want private rooms, they want Wi-Fi, they want good food, the therapist comes to them and so forth. So for that reason, we are asking for an amendment to your section 4.8.2E, which would allow institutional housing in your B2 with the same standards that are required right now in your residential district. I did look at several zoning codes and resolutions in the immediate area. I looked at the Warren County Code, I looked at the City of Lebanon, I looked at Deerfield Township, all of which I've worked with, and they all allow this type of use in a business district. We are also requesting amendment to your section 7.4.2, table 7-1, which is your parking standards. Right now, your code requires one parking space for 3 bedrooms, and what we are proposing is that they would have 1 space per bed. Again, the reason for that going back is, if you think about it, there was doubles, sometimes 3 people in a room. Now it's typically just one bed, 1 patient per room. The other factors to consider in looking at that is that beds are the term that is used by the state when they start to license these facilities. You buy a license for a bed. So that's the terminology that they recognize. Also, parking, now that there are more short-term residents, I'll say, in these types of facilities, they actually draw a lot more visitors, sadly, than some of the long-term residents. Because if you think about it, and your wife is there, you're probably there every day, and the kids are coming and going and so forth. The other point for increasing the amount of parking is that when shifts change at these facilities, both those shifts are on site at the time. So that I can say to you, Mrs. Smith had a good night last night, but she's not feeling well this morning. Well, why? What's wrong? You can have that in person-to-person interaction, okay? So you have to have parking for both shifts, as well as visiting doctors and so forth and so on. So we are asking for the consideration of these text amendments to allow institutional housing in your business district with parking that's more relevant to what the uses are today. As Kathy indicated, the Warren County Planning Commission staff and the commission itself recommended approval of these, as did your zoning commission. So I would be happy to answer any questions for you guys.
I'm good, thank you.
Questions? Okay,
I do not.
thank you.
Opposition first?
Those in favor?
Those in favor? Anyone in favor of these text amendments, would you like to approach the podium? Anyone opposed? Okay, guess at this time we can close the floor to,
Unless Ms. McBride wants to say
Listen,
anything
we'll say something
additional.
else?
This will surprise your law director, but no, I
All right,
That is surprising.
okay. Close the floor for comments. Gentlemen, any questions?
I do not.
Any comments?
I do not, I think it makes sense. I was
does.
surprised to see actually
Yeah.
that it wasn't approved in a business district.
Yep. Well, I'm of the same opinion. So what's our next step, Ben? Move on to the resolution?
Yep.
Okay. So with that, then I will, let's see, my resolution page. I will make a motion to approve resolution number 25-0806A, a resolution adopting text amendments to chapters 4 and 7 of the Hamilton Township zoning resolution.
Second.
Mr. Cordray?
Yes.
Mr. Sousa?
Yes.
Mr. Rozzi?
Yes. All right. Thank you. Okay, moving on to our next hearing.
All right, so our next hearing is a Stage 2 PUD for an unaddressed property on Grandin Road. The applicant is Beaver Creek Development. The owner is Grandin Road Development, and again, it is located at an unaddressed parcel on Grandin Road. So same legal notice was posted on July 24th on the township website, and legal notices were sent to all required property owners. So an aerial of the property, you will remember this is adjacent to the neighborhood under construction in South Lebanon. But it butts the north on Grandin Road, and then to the east would be the proposed Hills Development for the apartments. So you all will remember that you approved a change of zoning for this to R3 PUD and M1 PUD. So the residential development, to be known as Arbors East, again is 123 lots, which is 2.77 lots per acre. They will have sidewalks located on both sides of the street. They will have 11.73 acres or 26.48% of open space. There are 3 stormwater management basins and landscape mounds and buffers between the residential uses and the industrial uses. The industrial development, if you'll remember, will have 4 industrial lots and sidewalks located on just one side. The open space there is 2.47 acres and 1 stormwater management basin there. And then you will remember there's a roadway that extends from Pebble Lane, which is where those apartments are going, and that will go all the way to Grandin Road. So you can see here the kind of brownish color is the residential piece, the purple is going to be the industrial, and then you'll see the roadway there. So currently, the requirement for the residential lots is a 50-foot front yard setback, where they are requesting a 30-foot. Sides are 7 and 14. They're requesting a 6-foot and 12-foot, and then the rear is 30, which they do meet. Lot size that is required is 8,000 square feet. They've requested 7,800, and then 60 foot at the building line where 70 is required. You'll see the typical lot there to the left, the diagram there. So the stormwater plan, as I mentioned, there are 3 in the residential piece and then 1 there on the industrial side. The existing wooded areas will remain to the extent possible. And then this is the landscape buffer to the north, which is the industrial piece there. You'll see it kind of, the lower graph there just kind of shows you how it jogs off, and that's what's shown there at the top. It's kind of confusing to look at, but it goes across the entire width of the project there. And then this would be the landscape buffer between the industrial and residential piece. So the Warren County Regional Planning Commission heard this application on June 26th. They did recommend approval with conditions. The Hamilton Township Zoning Commission heard the application on July 14th and recommended approval with the conditions that were given by the Warren County RPC, and staff also does recommend approval with the stated conditions, and we'll kind of go over those conditions now. That all plans and proposals of the applicant shall be made conditions of approval unless modified by one of the following. Compliance with the zoning resolution, in the resolution 250507A that you all approved, which was the stage 1. That prior to stage 3, that the engineer's office review and approve a traffic impact study if deemed necessary. That prior to final plat approval for the 49th lot, that the applicant construct the second access point to either Grandin Road or Pebble Lane. They currently have one that goes to the west to that development that is in South Lebanon. Number 5, that a stormwater management plan be reviewed and approved by the engineer's office prior to stage 3. That compliance with all requirements of Warren County Soil and Water for erosion and sediment control be in place. That compliance with the Warren County water and sewer standards for wastewater and any upgrades necessary be installed by the developer. That compliance with the Hamilton Township Fire Department. That the homeowners association responsible for the management and maintenance of common open space, stormwater facility, and then also a separate business owners association be established. And then lastly, the amenities identified for active open space be installed prior to 75% or less than 92 lots of the residential be developed before final plat approval. And then I will leave you here with the review criteria for the preliminary site plan.
Questions?
Pretty straightforward, I think, from what we talked about from the last last time.
Okay. Would the applicant like to approach?
Hi, my name's Ed Ferrugia, Beaver Creek Site Management. Address is 7861 East Kemper Road, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45249. Thank you, Kathy, for the presentation. It's pretty much the same thing that we presented last time. There was one thing that we added that we talked about last time on the south side. I know there's some homeowners in Willow Pond that were concerned about losing all the tree buffer. We actually put in a 15-foot buffer on that south side from going east of that southern retention pond area all the way across the back of those lots. And then it's pretty much, other than that, in the landscaping, it's pretty much the same thing that we had last time. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Mr. Ferrugia?
Yes.
You were sworn in, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Gentlemen,
I don't have any.
Mark, any questions?
I'm good.
Okay, I don't either.
Thanks.
So any of those that are in favor of this development would like to approach the podium? Anyone opposed would like to approach the podium? Okay. And I'll close the floor to, gentlemen, do you have any questions or any other comments?
No, I'm glad to see the buffer, the added buffer shown on there. I think
Yeah.
that definitely
Yeah.
is helpful. I don't know, other than that,
Mark?
I'm good. It's, the construction's gonna probably start, or the initial connection's still gonna be to the west on your other Arbor's phase, correct, right? But I know Jeff has made us aware of someone potentially looking at the commercial sites, which could change the timeline or urgency around the
Yes.
Grandin Road connector.
We're definitely going to start on the west side of the site, coming from the existing street that we put in South Lebanon. Just recently, we've been talking about making that, depending on how timing goes with that connector road, we might just bring it out all the way to that connector road, knowing that we might be ahead of it a little bit, and then, we'd plat, however many lots we're allowed to plat, and then after we're, allowed to connect into that new thoroughfare road, we would then plat the rest. But yeah, the idea would be to construct all of it. The first 50, I think it's like 56 lots, making that connection over there, knowing that we couldn't plat the, I guess the remaining 26 or something like that, let's say. I don't know exactly the number, but that's kind of the plan.
And these won't be private roads at
These are
completion.
public.
These will be public roads
Public
turned
roads.
over to the township.
That's
Okay.
correct. Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Good.
Okay. With that, I will make a motion to approve Resolution 25-0806B, a resolution approving a planned unit development, PUD, District Stage 2 preliminary plan for approximately 59.6603 acres for the property located at 0 Grandin Road, parcel number 16051000015, Hamilton Township, Warren County, Ohio 45039.
second,
Mr. Cordray?
yes.
Mr. Souza?
Yes.
Mr. Razzi?
Yes. All right, on to the final.
Yep, so lastly, we have another Stage 2 PUD, and this one is for 421 US 22 and 3. The applicant is CRG Residential. Owner of the property is the Gallenstein Brothers. So again, same legal notice was posted on the website July 24th, and legal notices were sent to all required property owners. So the aerial site, you'll remember this is kind of at the corner of 48 and Willow Pond. So the existing zoning is mixed use, and this portion is zoned R3 PUD. It's currently a vacant lot. So the entire PUD consists of 181.5 acres on the northwest and southwest corners of State Route 22 and 3 and State Route 48. February of 1997, 143.1 acres of the property was rezoned to R3 PUD. Since then, there's been stage 2 development. There's been 4 stage 2 resolutions approved. Those were for Indian Lake, the reserves at Indian Lake Commercial Southwest, and Alexander Point. The PUD approval limited the development to 951 units on 181.5 acres, so basically is 5.4 units per acre. The application is in regards to Area D, which was designated as multifamily, allowing 288 units. This applicant is proposing a total of 220 of those units, bringing the total number of units to 740. Of those 951 that are permitted, each of these units will exceed the 400 square foot minimum dwelling size. So again, we'll have 220 rental units. That will be in 8 3-story buildings. There will be semi-attached and detached parking, and actually this changed slightly. It's about 1.7 spaces per unit, where 2 spaces are required. They are requesting the marked spaces be 9 foot by 18 foot rather than the 10 by 18 that is required by the zoning resolution. Because of the requirement of 2 spaces per unit, currently they're required 440 parking spaces. However, the zoning resolution does allow for them to request a 15% reduction. And so they have submitted for 374 spaces, which does fall within that 15% reduction. Density is 11.85 units per acre. They are proposing 5-foot sidewalks located on both sides of the street, 6.36 acres or 34% open space. They have 1 retention pond, interior, site perimeter, and vehicular use areas landscape requirements are met. They are providing some amenities, which include a clubhouse, a fitness center, a pool, pickleball court, and a dog park. So the setback requirements, this has changed just slightly from what the zoning commission recommended approval for. The county has changed the right-of-way requirement from the 30 feet that it is now to a 50-foot right-of-way. So it has reduced the setback of the building closest to Willow Pond there at 28.51. That is the only building that doesn't meet the 30-foot setback requirement. You'll see the other one at just over 50, and then all of the others are just over 50 as well. So landscape plan and stormwater management, you'll see here, and this does, again, it does meet the zoning requirements.
Okay, just a quick question. Just
Sure.
I'm looking at this map. Is that 48 there on the far right?
To the right, correct.
Okay. I just
Yep.
want to make sure, trying to reference where we're looking at. Okay.
Yep.
Great.
And then those are the amenities there in red. Buildings obviously in yellow. So again, RPC recommended that this be approved with conditions. We'll go through those conditions. Again, they're standard. All plans and proposals of the applicant shall be made conditions of the approval unless modified by one of the following. Compliance with the Warren County subdivision regulations and the Hamilton Township resolution that was approved by you all, as well as 97-212. Prior to final plat approval, that the applicant obtain approval for a sanitary sewer system extension and comply with all water and sanitary sewer system improvements and capacity requirements. That the applicant contact the health department regarding plumbing permits prior to construction of the dwellings and the swimming pool. Prior to the PUD Stage 3 application, that the final plan approval, that the applicant obtain access permits to perform a traffic impact study that's reviewed by the Warren County Engineers Office and ODOT. The applicant provide an access point to, they are not doing the access point to 48. ODOT did not allow for that, so I should have taken that condition off, I apologize. The Hamilton Township zoning staff made determination that the proposed standards are in compliance with the standards of the zoning code that was in effect in 1997, or the current standards, and determine which standards deviate from the zoning resolution. So after some internal discussion, we decided that rather than use the 97 code, that we are going to go with current standards that are going to apply to this development. That the sidewalks, pool, clubhouse, and community amenities be constructed prior to 50% of the residential buildings receiving zoning certificate. That the lighting plan obviously be required at Stage 3 final site plan approval. That the applicant clearly delineate all proposed open space areas on the development plans. And at the time of Stage 3 final approval, the applicant provide an updated stormwater management plan approved by the engineer's office. The last three, prior to any tree clearing or earth moving, that the applicant obtain proper permits from Warren County Soil and Water. That they coordinate with the Warren County Floodplain Administrator to determine any floodplain requirements. And lastly, prior to the PUD final site plan review, that the applicant detail the open space percentage for the development for the overall PUD. And again, I will leave you with the criteria and answer any questions.
Gentlemen?
question slash concern. I mean, I know you just said ODOT's not going to grant any access to 48. So what's that do for Willow Pond? Because that's already, I mean, certain points of the day, that's a nightmare, especially if you're coming off of 22 and 3 and you're trying to cut over to 48. I mean, that stacks. I mean, even at certain times it stacks the other way. Especially with our emergency services, I'd be concerned depending on time of day. It's one lane each way. It doesn't lend itself to much space for anything.
Yeah, so we can ask the applicant, but that, I believe that the engineer's office is requiring the traffic entry. It may already be complete. We can talk to the applicant.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a big concern of mine, is the traffic through there, because it's already kind of a mess.
Yes, I have one that's kind of more high level than to this specific portion of the development, but this is one when we learned of it recently was kind of a surprise to everyone. That was 1997, and this phase is just now coming forward. So when I look at the history piece that you had, the various phases or areas that you refer to approved up to 951 units, and this would bring the total to 740. And I just from looking at that, there's still a couple undeveloped as you cross over Willow Pond Boulevard to the west and south of 22 and 3. That area is still undeveloped, and then to the north of 22 and 3, east of Willow Pond Boulevard. One, do we know or have we checked if any other potential plans to develop those for more residential, or is there a way in this process, this is probably more of a Ben question, can we address that previous approval unit that would bring additional residential developments in those unused areas at this point before the zoning process?
Yeah, you could look at that, not at tonight's meeting per se, because obviously this is a public hearing specific to the pieces of property here in play. If we're to look at that, there's, the whole concept, which happened a lot with the existing 1997 plan that we weren't aware of. And it's a fact-intensive determination to see whether or not they're vested under that, meaning they're allowed to build in conformance with whatever approvals they might have gotten before or not. So we can take a look at that if there's some concern over that. We might not be able to do anything, but we can at least look, but not for purposes.
The way this is structured, if someone approached the Gallensteins tomorrow and wanted to acquire and put 211 more apartment units on one of these other unused areas, at this point they could, under this PUD.
Under this PUD, yes,
Okay.
conceptually, but, again, we could talk about, we'd have to look at, okay, could we make a change? And if we made that change, would that actually apply to this property? Or is the property owner's rights based off substantial steps
Yeah.
they've taken in furtherance of this already vested the right to develop it in the manner in which it was originally approved?
The only other question I have is, I think unlike the Arbors East, this will be no new township roads in the apartment area. Have police and fire had an opportunity to look at this, and any concern from getting apparatus or first responders in and out the way the site's laid out?
No, Corey looked at our concern was, other than Willow Pond and traffic, which I knew they were doing the impact study, but interior width of the driveways for our ladder truck and everything, and they've already addressed all those, so.
Okay. And obviously they've got the bigger pieces of equipment than you, Q, so I'm assuming no concerns on the police.
We have no
end.
concerns.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else?
No.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to invite the applicant to give testimony.
Good evening. Ross Murder with CRG Residential, applicant. Without restating everything in here, we're asking for approval of the Stage 2 PUD for 220 units across, I think, 8 buildings. And here to answer any questions, any concerns. To address one point, traffic study we have done, it's completed and submitted to ODOT. So I think we're in that waiting period of getting their formal response on what they view we need to do.
And can you give your address and confirm the fact that you've been sworn in?
Sure. I have been sworn in, 805 City Center Drive, Suite 160, Carmel, Indiana.
Thank you.
Gentlemen?
Oh, well, yes, if you would, can you just explain the project, like like all the fun stuff, the pricing points, what's this project supposed to look like?
Yep.
Why we should be excited as a township to have this project here?
Yes. So it's, like I said, 220 units, 1, 2, 3 bedrooms. They're three-story walk-up structures. Kind of price points obviously are not decided at this point in time, but it's a market rate housing project, conventional financing, if you will. Some of the amenities we have are a dog park, pet spa, pickleball court, heated pool, fitness area, a lot of common space in the building, like in the clubhouse area, co-working spaces, that sort of thing. We've built a similar project to this, a couple of different iterations here in the area previously, several times over in Indianapolis, so very familiar with what it is, any specific details. I think reason to be excited about it too is we're adding rooftops to help support additional retail, improve the tax base, kind of all of that follow-on effects of adding rooftops. I already know of one other particular retail project that has piqued interest because of this project in this immediate area, not on this exact property that we're talking about, but so just kind of some of the ancillary effects of that.
Are these rental units, or are you're selling these? Are they,
Yes,
sorry.
for it, yes.
And I know you said they were. Do you have an example just locally, like we could all maybe picture that? You said there were several that you're involved with, but you would go somewhat similar. Or?
Yeah, there's one under construction, about ready to open in Claremont County. Another one just started construction in Montgomery County.
But these are geared more towards professionals,
Yes,
that type of.
yes.
That type of.
Yep.
That
And
type
so
of
they're skewed more towards 1 and 2 bedrooms, less towards 3 bedrooms. Just we find the tenant demographics end up being those younger professionals, empty nesters that just don't want to take care of as much land or house property, if you will. That tends to see historically who is looking at places like this.
Gotcha. So from a school's perspective, you don't expect it's not one of those where you're gearing towards
No.
family stuff.
And I know that's a legitimate concern always when you're just adding housing. We've found, and I've done studies in the past, it's a pretty minimal amount that ends up living there with student age population. Can't turn it away,
Absolutely not.
folks,
Yeah, but just trying to gain an understanding of kind of what you're offering and kind of all that, the fun demographic, socioeconomic type stuff we're looking at.
Thank you.
Good. I'm good.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So at this time, anyone in favor of this development, would you like to approach the podium? Okay. Anyone opposed?
Wanda Seiler, 374 Dakota Run. So these units are on top of the ones going over behind the daycare.
Correct.
Yes.
In
which
addition
is
to.
300. Why do we need many more people in our township? I got, 200 houses going behind me, a big apartment building, and now these apartments. And as far as aimed towards professionals, they said the exact same thing about Alexander Point. Yet there's rugrats everywhere running around in there. I mean, yeah, Willow Pond, we were late because we could not get out until 48 because we were sitting on Willow Pond. I can't imagine that thing with this many more cars. It's aggravating. We moved up here because it was quiet, and now it's just building and building and building. So, I don't know. Maybe it's time to move. But, yeah, I don't think we need this many more apartments and people in our township. The schools. Anyway, thank
Ma'am,
you.
it's very difficult to tell a property owner what he can and can't do with his property. None of us want that.
Right.
And do we want it? This was approved in '97,
And you're
long
actually,
before any of us were ever here.
Indian Lake is part of this 1997 PUD. It's just that it was built out immediately following.
And this
It
just
started,
started 20
and
years.
this is coming now.
Or 30 years to get here.
And I'm not making light of your comment. It's about, I moved out here because it was, if you took a straw poll, the vast majority of residents of this township moved here from the late 90s to within the last few years for the reason you just gave.
Yeah.
But we're all an equal part of the reason why it's a lot busier place now. And I say that a little bit in light and jest. I mean, we moved here, and we don't want other people moving here. Is, you know, kind of the tongue-in-cheek part of that. But yeah, I mean, this happened in 1997. It's kind of why I was asking about any flexibility we have to address the remaining units. It's not typical for somebody to sit on their right or opportunity to develop something for nearly 30 years, but in this case, that's what has happened.
And how about, you know, townhouses, one family per instead of 3 stories. All right, I digress. Thank you.
Ma'am, were you sworn in? Sorry to interrupt your walk back. Were you sworn in?
No, not this time.
Is everything that you just said true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
Good enough. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Anyone else?
And again,
Someone's already approached you.
and
She got
again,
before you did.
and if you'll just state your name, your address, and confirm the fact you've been sworn in. Thank you.
I'm Janine Summers. I live on 74 Bannock Drive, Mainville. So just across the street from this new development. My biggest concern is the traffic on Willow Pond Boulevard. You already can't turn left on 48 from there. I think if this is approved, there definitely needs to be a light there, installed there at the corner of Willow Pond and 48. Because I don't know how we're all gonna get around.
And one of the criteria for approval of this is a traffic impact study. So it'll be determined if something like that has to be put in.
Right, because already, like on getting on to 22 in the mornings, if you want to turn left to go on to 22, traffic backs up clear past Appalachia. So I can't even get out of my neighborhood because of the traffic so backed up on that road. I know they have to keep the light long on 22 to keep traffic from backing up to 48, you know, so it's kind of like a no-win situation
Right,
there.
and one of the things is too, is because the subdivision parallels 2 state routes, so we have to really work with ODOT with that, so it's not just the township, we can't just say, hey, we'd love to put up a light if there were township roads, and we'd have a lot more flexibility with this, and which we continue to do, and we do a great job communicating with ODOT, but sometimes we have to push ODOT to really get those type of changes, and we'll certainly continue to do so.
And my other concern is our schools. We just keep building and building and building, and I worry about our schools being able to handle all the children that all these housing places bring in. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. And were you sworn in?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Mr. Rossi, since traffic's been discussed a little bit, I'll give Mr. DeVerne the developers, civil engineers here. I recall from a lot of traffic impact studies that I've seen over the years, it's a statistical fact that attached housing typically has fewer trips per day than single family. Single family at one time, I think it was 9 trips per day. I can't recall off the top of my head what attached housing was, but it might be interesting to hear generally how the multifamily has fewer trips per day per unit. And then Ms. Sykes is correct that there could be children there. It's good for us that this is heavily skewed to 1 and 2 bedrooms, because statistically you do see a lot less school-age children in those smaller, these aren't small units, but in the units that have fewer bedrooms. So it might be worth having John speak to that component of the traffic study. And I would amplify what a few of you said, is that we are working with ODOT also, not only on the specific traffic impact study for this, but as there are talks of other commercial development near this, we are hopeful at some point there will be a warrant study done, and ODOT would agree that a traffic signal could go there. And it might sound counterintuitive, but ODOT's criteria for is a traffic signal warranted or not it needs to have more traffic at the intersecting street. So believe it or not, while this is not, more traffic on Township's roads is not a stated goal of Hamilton Township, as development occurs along 48, it's more likely for ODOT to more sooner say, okay, it's now warranted and a traffic signal could go up. So it might be worth having Mr. DeVerne speak for a second
Yeah,
about that.
there was one other gentleman that was
sorry.
starting to approach. Okay, that's fine.
Maybe it would be best just to keep it in order. We'll still go with opposition, and then Mr. Delverne is part of the applicant's
Yeah.
rebuttal or whatever
So,
else.
come on.
I'll get up here eventually. My name is Steve Blow. I live at 6275 Maple Grove. I have been sworn in. I have no dog in this hunt, if you will. I do ask that we use any leverage available to us to make sure that Willow Pond gets widened. I don't know if you've ever come, I guess it's north out of Mainville, but your GPS actually cuts you down Willow Pond to get over to 22.3. So everyone coming out of Regency, everyone coming out of Stevens is using that as a shortcut. So putting additional high-density units in that area will naturally increase traffic. And if we can't get our emergency responders through, if we can't get through in a reasonable time, we really need to, I'll say, wait until we can get that road to a state where we can safely travel it and move large volumes of traffic, albeit at very short periods of time during the day. That's my first ask. My second ask, of course, has already been taken, is a light at 48 and Willow Pond, because it is just dead dangerous. Coming out of here and trying to drive home, it's not hard to get cut off by someone pulling right out of Willow Pond to try to hit UDF. I think it's especially critical that we use that leverage as well if we're looking to think about developing property further south on Willow Pond as it relates to 22.3. As we get more of those apartment-style dwellings in there, whether it be townhouses, high-density units, we need to make sure we have the infrastructure in place first. And yes, I am one of those folks who moved out to the country. I came out here in '98. My son's a graduate of Lower Miami. He learned music in the cafeteria. That was his music class during the emergency levy years. So, been there, done that. We've lived through it. We'll live through this as well. So I wanted to thank you for enforcing the current zoning standards on this project versus what was available in 1997. I would ask that we decline this application based on the marked parking spaces being smaller. As you can tell, I'm not dainty. I can use all the parking space I can get to open my door when I park somewhere. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, approach. And one more time. Anyone else in opposition want to speak? Okay.
My name is John Delverne. I'm with Bear Becker. Address is 6900 Tylersville Road, Mason, Ohio 45040. I have been sworn in. So first I'd like to just say that we have prepared, our firm has prepared a traffic impact study. It has been submitted to ODOT and Warren County for review, but I think ODOT actually has the jurisdiction here. I think we followed their lead as far as scoping the study, what was going to be evaluated. So that's under review. I think it was submitted last Friday. Unfortunately, Jeff, I am not familiar with the trip generation statistics. My traffic engineers are, but I will certainly be, we have another stage 3, be prepared to address that question our next time here for the stage 3 review. But I will say it's under review. The intersections, I know that Willow Pond and State Route 48 was analyzed. Willow Pond and State Route 22 and 3 were analyzed as part of the study. I will say that at State Route 48, there are several warrants were evaluated for traffic signal at that Willow Pond and State Route 48. It met some of the warrants, but didn't meet all of the warrants. So I don't know how the review is going to go. It's going to be in the ODOT's hands. So we submitted it on the 25th, and I think our intent was that it would be reviewed concurrently with the stage 3 plan as we go through that process. So apologize for not being totally aware of the trip generation numbers specifically for multifamily. But that's where we stand.
just curious, and I don't know if Jeff, you may be able to answer this, or Kathy, or you might be able to. Do you know why were you denied access off of 48? Was it just a spacing issue with Nunner, or was it just they didn't like because of the turn lane that kind of?
You know what? I don't know that we were denied an access to 48. We didn't propose one. I think the members of the, I don't want to speak for members of the Planning Commission. I think, in my opinion, and I think of others, that ODOT would probably would not approve another access point along that stretch between 22 and 3 and Willow Pond. I think in general, I think that's the general consensus that wouldn't go. I think that comment came from an interpretation of Warren County, of their subdivision regulation, but doesn't apply here.
Right.
So I think that's why the clarification that's just not required per the subdivision regulations in this instance.
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, at this point, I will close the floor. Comments, questions?
I like the project overall. My biggest concern, and I don't know how to address it in the stage 2, so Ben, if you guys, is the traffic. Like, I'm interested in what the traffic study says. It doesn't sound like a lot, 374 spaces in theory, 374 cars, but I've been down Willow Pond enough to know that another 300 and 400 cars on that is going to be a big deal, especially during rush hour. And, if you got this traffic starting to stack to try and go into that place, go out, and it's rush hour, people try and turn, it's going to be a disaster. And I would want some guidance or us to have a plan of one way or the other how we fix that as this development goes, type thing, because if it's going to be a go, then I think we need to address the traffic along with it simultaneously.
Is there a way to lean on ODOT to push them to put a light there?
We can lobby that. There are 8 or 9 criteria, I believe, for traffic signals. My experience with this district is that they hold fast to that until they see additional counts. We could ask them to do some counts more frequently.
So the obvious isn't a consideration, that it needs a light. It just has to meet 9 criteria.
That's correct.
Okay.
And I think to the one gentleman's comment, and Daryl's concern is, we're getting to a point now where we're going to start to see the Kroger TIF and another TIF start to generate, funds and potentially excesses, and you think of those monies for infrastructure improvements, and widening a stretch of Willow Pond Boulevard. I know we're thinking about all the new road construction and these
Well, and I'm thinking
potential,
too,
but that may be like,
if we're gonna have this project now, it might be time to do it. Like, instead of letting the project go and then go back behind and go, oh, now we're gonna try and acquire land. And
I think your best approach is probably to wait and see what the traffic impact study does come back with, in part because of exactly where it is with those being state routes. A lot of this will be jurisdictionally preempted by ODOT, so what they say will go. That's not to say that you can't, depending on what the results show, decide that you want to widen Willow Pond and things like that. But obviously, this whole thing is conditioned upon receiving the traffic impact study and them doing whatever they have to is a part of that. So I think there'll be a bit of another bite at this apple at that stage 3 when it comes
so
back.
and so we'll get we'll come back at stage 3 and get the trip. So we'll come back before us at stage 3.
Correct.
This time.
Yes, and I think it'd be appropriate. I think the developer would appreciate the fact if ODOT's review lingers. I think these are important enough questions that we'd want to have that certainty. The developer would want the certainty because if the traffic impact study says that road improvements would have to be made, that could be a financial impact to the developer. So I think it's in everybody's shared best interest to get that information.
Mr. Cordray, number 5 on the conditions does address that you will have access to that prior to your approval of stage 3. So you still have an opportunity to review that before you get final.
Yeah, this isn't a combined stage 2, stage 3. This is just a stage 2. Okay. Yeah, that's my biggest concerns. I really want to see how that's going to get addressed, because I think that needs to be that really needs to be looked at hard as we do this. And we know that we have interest within all up and down that corridor right through there. So this is, this project kicks off and it's going to get worse traffic-wise before it gets better, especially if we don't address it now.
And maybe a good way to think of it is the traffic impact study dictates what the developer must do.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that the township itself can't voluntarily decide to do something. It's just that TIS will basically show what must the developer do. It doesn't limit you per se in what you might additionally want to do.
But again, to reiterate, we have another opportunity at stage 3. So, anything else, gentlemen? Good. All right. With that, I will make a motion to approve Resolution 25-0806B, a resolution approving a planned unit development, District Stage 2 preliminary plan for approximately 59 point, wait a minute, am I reading the wrong resolution?
I think it's C.
I am. Excuse me, scratch that. I forgot to flip to page C. All right, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 25-0806C, a resolution approving a planned unit development, District Stage 2 preliminary plan for approximately 19.015 acres for the property located at 421 South State Route 22 and 3, parcel 16054000059, Hamilton Township, Warren County, Ohio 45039.
Second.
Mr. Rozzi?
Yes.
Mr. Sousa?
Yes.
Mr. Cordray?
Yes.
And that does it for that section. We have some new business. Let's see, our next order of business. Jeff, would you like to give a rundown of this, or the next resolution?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Rozzi. The next resolution, Resolution D, is being proposed. This is kind of housekeeping for a few unrelated items that have the same theme. It's necessary throughout the year for townships and cities to have amendments to the amounts of money that were appropriated at the beginning of the year. A couple of these reasons for this appropriation would be we have some necessary repairs and maintenance of some of our largest vehicles in the fire and EMS department. So we would like to utilize that special levy fund. It's $10,000 for some additional repairs. We'll talk later in the meeting about some new vehicles that we've ordered 2 and 3 years ago and the status of that, but it's necessary to keep these existing trucks running. The other one is pretty obvious to the public. We've had several actions this year within Public Works for the amount of money that is needed for the replacement Public Works facility. We received those funds last week, and we've made investments and planned for that project. And then finally, we are presenting tonight the necessity to replace on a 1-to-1 ratio 3 of the vehicles for our police department. We get to another item of business, and we'll explain a little bit about the situation with those vehicles. So these are things that are necessities: repair, replacement of vehicles in the Public Works building.
Any questions?
No.
Mark?
No.
All right, very good. With that, I will make a motion to approve Resolution 25-0806D, a resolution approving an increase in township appropriations in the Fire and EMS Special Levy Fund, Public Works Fund, and the Police District Fund to reconcile budgets for the calendar year 2025.
Second.
Mr. Sousa?
Yes.
Mr. Cordray?
Yes.
Mr. Rozzi?
Yes. And this final resolution is just getting rid of some unfit and unneeded vehicles from the impound lot, pretty much. Any questions?
No.
All right, with that, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution -25-0806E, a resolution authorizing private sale of unneeded and unfit for use property in the police department.
Second.
Mr. Sousa?
Yes.
Mr. Cordray?
Yes.
Mr. Rozzi?
Yes. Okay, looks like we have a couple of motions. Purchase of a fire training door? Quick description.
Yes, sir. So this, one of the skills that we have to utilize in fire services, forcible entry into buildings and residences. There's many different ways to do it. It is a perishable skill that needs to be practiced on a regular basis. This door will give us the facilities to be able to do that in the least destructive manner possible.
How often does this door need to be replaced?
The last door that was shared between multiple departments was 20 years ago.
Okay,
So
so it's a pretty indestructible door.
It is built out of solid steel, and it is
Do you
built
share
to
that door
last.
with the techniques with PD?
We can, if they want to, yes. So, but yeah, this door it is a need we've put off for the past couple of years, but we're getting to the point now where
Does it go to the training tower or somewhere else?
it'll actually be housed at Station 76, but we will use it in conjunction. It's a mobile door that we can transport to the training center when we're.
Any questions, gentlemen?
Nope.
All right, with that, I will make a motion to approve the purchase of training doors, locks, attachments, and shipping of equipment from Forged Fire and Company in the total amount of $13,615.
Second.
Mr. Cordray?
Yes.
Mr. Sousa?
Yes.
Mr. Razzi?
Yes. As it was just explained to us, we're purchasing 3 replacement vehicles and some other things.
Yeah, that's correct, and want to make sure that everybody's aware that we are not doing the trade-ins immediately on these 3, but it'll end up being a net of 0 to the number of vehicles in the fleet. 2 of our 21 Chevy Tahoes are sitting at a Chevy dealer in Cincinnati, under warranty luckily, to have their engines rebuilt. So it takes, by the time we will be able to get, we'll purchase these 3 replacement vehicles at the cheapest rate possible through the Ohio Public Bid Program. But it's going to be 3 to 4 months until they go from that dealer to the 3 various outfitters for the wrap and the lights and the cages and everything to be added to it. So sometime probably December or January, we'll have the 2 engines rebuilt, receive these 3 replacements, and then Assistant Chief Short's going to sell 3 of our oldest vehicles on a public bidding process. We'll be able to recoup some of the expense of this.
Very good.
And this is we're just pulling forward the date we were originally scheduling were these for 2026, so we're just going to pull forward.
That's
this
correct. We're trying to get into a more consistent rotation. We were pushed back. We weren't able to get vehicles for a year or 2 during the beginning of COVID. You're correct. This was anticipated to be done next year, but when we have cars sitting out of service for that long, we're asking your permission to move these up by 6 months or so.
And Q, these are on a dealer lot somewhere. We're not gonna run into a scenario where we're placing an order and it takes forever to get these. I think I saw on the write-up that they're available.
Yeah, correct. They're at Tim Wiley Chevrolet just outside of Cleveland. They're on hold for us. We can pick them up as soon as next week.
Another nice day trip for somebody?
Yes.
All right. We don't pay the delivery charges, folks. We send somebody up to get
We'll
these
send
things,
somebody
so,
after them.
yep.
You're paying somebody to do it.
Well, but we're not paying the vehicle delivery price, which will be more.
All right, with that, I will make a motion to approve the purchase of 3 Chevrolet Tahoe four-wheel drive PPVs from Tim Lally Chevrolet in the total amount of $155,559, installation of 3 sets of emergency lighting systems from Tri-State Public Safety in the amount of $56,880, uplifting from CDW in the total amount of $18,954, radars from Stalker in the amount of $9,030, and Vivid Wraps in the total amount of $13,200, and the purchase of 3 6-hour M400 firearms in the total amount of $3,175.68.
Second.
Mr. Sousa?
Yes.
Mr. Razzi?
Yes.
Mr. Cordray?
Yes.
Okay. This brings us to our second public comment section. Would anyone like to get up and make public comment? Yes. Would you state your name and address for the record?
Roger Gable, 270 Mulberry Meadows Court, Mainville, Ohio.
Okay.
I'm just curious if the Stevie Wonder Paving Company came to anyone's driveway and did the repair work that they did, the same kind of repair work that they did on the top of the hill at Foster Mainville Road, West Foster Mainville. Would you pay for that if that same kind of work was done in your house? The kind of work that jars your teeth, throws you into the other lane?
I'm not familiar with it, but.
You don't drive up that road?
Not much.
Okay.
No, I'm up the
Take a trip
this
up
side.
from Foster and drive up that hill. When you get to the top of the hill, just at the top of the bend, it's it's the worst patch jump I've ever seen in my life.
Is that county, Don?
Yes. That was a
That is county?
utility, yes.
Yeah,
it's
Foster
county
Mainville's
road.
county road.
Okay, so I'm at the wrong place.
You're all right, though. You can bring it
Never
up.
mind.
We can be
Never
your,
mind.
pass it along
We
to
can
them.
be
Your
Now, could
voice.
somebody see about that? Because it is bad.
We got a couple spots like that the county's repaired recently that we need to bring
I've
to their
actually
attention.
talked to them about that spot they're aware
Yeah,
of.
it's rough. It's one of the worst I've ever seen. So, All right, we have
Thank
your
you.
time.
Yeah, thank you, Roger.
Anyone else want to make public comment? Yes, sir.
My name is Don Hahn. I live at 623 Ascot, Mainville, and I have some comments and questions about paving as well. I've lived here since 2001, so 24 years, and the street in front of my house has not been repaved since I moved there. It was not, initially, it was just one layer, and then a year or two later, a second layer was put down, I believe, by the developer, probably, as I understand it. In my street, that part of my street, and the ones in that later area, it's the last part of Foster's Point is where I live. About every 100 yards, 100 feet, there's a dip in the pavement, and it's very noticeable even driving. But I like to bicycle on the neighborhood streets, and it's definitely a bump. It's not a bump, it's a dip. I don't know why that paving was done that way, but there's a dip every so often. I like what was done on Cheltenham and some other streets in my subdivision, where they put like, I think it was just tar, made these dips very flat, so it's hardly noticeable. My question is, how much longer will it be before my street, my part of Ascot will be repaved? What's the cycle for repaving?
Don?
So, I think it was probably 4 years ago when I paved half of Ascot, just for reference. Ascot's the longest subdivision
Yeah,
road we
9/10
have.
of a mile.
It's a mile long. So I didn't have the money to pave all of it, but your section was the newer section, so it wasn't near as bad. I had a company every year for about 4 years coming in. It's called Poly Patch. Those are transverse cracks, and they're notorious throughout Warren County. They're in every subdivision, so I had them go in, and they did your entire subdivision, but now some are starting to go again, but it's very expensive, so your road's probably in the next couple of years. I'd like to get the rest of Ascot paved, so I don't want to have Poly Patch come in. I tried to use Poly Patch on roads that were probably going to be 5, 6, 7 years out, so you're not paying all the money to put Poly Patch, and then you come right back in a year or two and dig it all up, because they mill the road before they pave it. So if you're not getting the Poly Patch, you're pretty close to getting paved.
Getting paving?
Getting resurfaced.
Yeah, the next year,
And
couple of
just
years.
high level, what we do, sir, is all the township roads, we have a road rating we do. We have a data, I think it's still on the site.
Yeah.
But we rate roadways basically 1 through 10, and it's kind of our guide. Don and his department in Public Works review it annually. In the spring, we determine the roads that we believe we're gonna repave in the summer, because we submit our information to the county. The county is overseeing that project when it happens, but every jurisdiction in the county is saying, hey, here's our roads, it's 5 miles or whatever. For the bidding process, it can all be assembled. We will know, generally, it's March or April, that we know and put out to the public the paving list for that summer. But you could follow up with Don as well, or someone in his department. You could check the road rating, but yeah, I know we did do part of Ascot not too long ago, and you do have
about 4 years.
a lengthy road.
And once I get through this paving cycle, we're probably 5-ish years away. Then all the roads in the township will be on about a 15, 16-year cycle. So hopefully they won't get like they used to, because our roads have improved tremendously in the last 6, 7 years.
So you're saying 2 or 3 years? I know there's no promise.
It's probably about a couple of years, I think.
Okay, I can live with that.
I have to look, but I can give you a call if you want to, and let you know.
I don't need to know.
I got a proposed list for the next few years, but then things change every winter. A road that gets more traffic, it could be rated higher, or the same as
Could
another road
change.
that gets less traffic, and then it completely changes. So it's hard to say exactly the years away, because
All right. Well, I thought that,
they deteriorate
I didn't realize that. You called it poly patch where they fill those dip ins?
I did a
Was very
test on
expensive.
it the first year, one of the worst subdivisions we had with Regency, and this stuff was just great, so I went through almost every subdivision we had with that.
Not every street, but some of the streets in where I live. Sheldingham is one I know has been done. And I thought it was a good job, but you're saying it's very expensive.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's very expensive if you're gonna be paving. It's well worth the cost if it's a road that the only thing bad on it doesn't have any other kind of longitudinal cracking or alligator cracking. And if it's only the transverse crack, it's a good investment. If, you know, where that's gonna fix the road for years. If it's a road that's gonna be paved in a couple years, you don't wanna spend that type of money and
Right.
then come back and mill it off the next year or year after. So you gotta kind of weigh that in. So.
All right.
But I'll get down and we'll look at, I'll make sure about, you know, they went through that whole subdivision with that, so these are probably newer transverse cracking on there. So.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else for public comment? All right, I will close the floor to public comment. Mr. Wright.
Great, thanks, Mr. Ozzie. Some of the updates we wanted to share tonight, we'll start the Fire and Rescue Department, include that the replacement tanker truck is nearing the completion of its complete building process, and they expect to take delivery of it sometime in October. Also, we're able to take advantage of the free training that we had received from Great Oaks Career Centers. Last year, when we did some trade-in, we provided some very old used equipment to them. In return, they're going to be coming here to do a rope rescue course. We're going to house that on site for our folks and some other departments. And additional training coming up soon will also include some fire officer classes, and they're going to hold them on site here at Hamilton Township, and that's going to allow us to charge some other communities, and that'll help cover our costs of the trainings. And within Public Works, we do want to say that the installation component of the Duke Energy gas line replacement project is fully done. But now Duke's going to have their subcontractor come back out to that area, and they still have to do the restoration program of any asphalt or lawns. And we have completed our annual street resurfacing program. Luckily, we did beat it in time before Little Miami and King schools start back up. An update from the police department includes that several instances have already been seen of how the new drone has been used already to save time and other resources. Some examples would be that officers have deployed it a couple of times for some missing person events, and they track complaints of suspicious activity or suspicious vehicles, especially in some of the more rural areas of Hamilton Township where there's limited access to those properties. And finally, I spoke with resident Richard Oder last night at our National Night Out, and I want to publicly thank him and his wife Kathy for very generously allowing so many of our community events to take place there on their property at Oder Lake, and they're obviously incredibly generous members of the community. Thank you.
All right, trustee comments. Mr. Cordray.
Thank you, Mr. Ozzie. Yep, just want to thank everybody for coming out last night, and just echo Mr. Wright's sentiments with regards to Richard and Kathy Oder for allowing us to have that event there. Appreciate the staff, all of our county partners and regional partners that came out. Unfortunately, didn't last near as long as it has in the past, but it was a great crowd that turned out. Loved seeing the kids playing in the foam. I think I almost had Mr. Oder convinced to jump in the foam with me. But of course then it rained, and obviously Rosie Fireworks again did put on a great show. Of course we didn't get to see it in the dark, but again, just a great overall night to celebrate our first responders. And just want to remind everybody of the regatta coming up on the 16th. That's probably one of the biggest events around now. Just gets bigger and better every year, so I just want to invite everybody out to that. That's all I have.
Very good. Mark?
All I'll add is I believe before our next meeting, both districts will be back in school, so you're going to see those big yellow mechanical vehicles on the roadways in the morning and afternoon. Maybe give yourself a little bit more time in the commute, but it's always nice when they're not out there in the summer, but they will inevitably be coming back shortly. I missed the National Night Out. I know it was rain shortened, but heard good things about it from those that were out today, so that's all I've got.
I was on my way and they started shooting fireworks. But, well, I could see that coming. I have nothing else really to add other than ditto to both. With that, I will make a motion to adjourn into executive session at 7:14 PM in accordance with ORC 121.22, Section G, subsection 1, to discuss the appointment, employment, or compensation of public employees, ORC 121.22, Section G, subsection 2, to discuss the sale or leasing of property, and ORC 121.22G 8A, to discuss economic development.
Second.
Mr. Sousa?
Yes.
Mr. Rozzi?
Yes.
Mr. Cordray?
Yes.
Okay. Do we expect any legislation?
It's to be determined, I'm not sure.
Could be. There could be. I'm going to step outside for just a minute.